My name is Susanna Reid. I'm presenter of Good Morning Britain, and by extraordinary coincidence, it is my 49th year as well, which means that, yes, 50 is hurtling towards me too. I am delighted to be here as the warm-up act for my boss, Dame Carolyn McCall. It is my first Royal Television Society Cambridge Convention, and welcome to you all. Delighted to be joining you. This year's title, Content, Consumers and Everything in Between, encompasses all that we face each day, how to imagine, create, market, and sell the very best of television to audiences across the world. Over the next few days, we are going to be hearing from a truly stellar lineup of industry leaders and innovators about the challenges of creating content and engaging consumers in a rapidly shifting television landscape. All words that, of course, you use all the time. I am pretty sure that you will have heard that word and used it, challenges, once or twice over the past few years. Personally, I like to see every challenge as an opportunity. In fact, I have several opportunities every morning presenting Good Morning Britain alongside Piers Morgan, and you will be getting your own opportunity with him tomorrow. I wish you luck. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do, as Tom says, download the RTS Convention app. That's where you're going to be able to see what's coming up over the next 3 days. But, as I said, I am just the teaser, because my first job is to introduce my boss. After 18 months, she is no longer the new girl. She is very much centre stage. She has shown she is not afraid to rise to those challenges we all face at a time when the media industry is itself in the spotlight as never before. Of course, before joining ITV, she was the boss of EasyJet for 7 years, and before that, she ran the Guardian Media Group. I'd like you to give a very warm welcome to the Chief Executive of ITV, Carolyn McCall.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Tom, and thank you to Susanna. I'd also like to welcome you to the Cambridge Convention of 2019 and to say how pleased we at ITV are to be sponsoring this really important event. One of the responsibilities of the title sponsor is to chair the convention organising committee, which discusses ideas for the overarching theme of the convention and the topics for individual sessions. Now, putting 40 broadcasters, producers, and other industry leaders around a table and asking them for ideas on TV sounds like Gogglebox, but on steroids. Now, this could have been tricky, but really wasn't, and I'd just like to thank everyone involved for the collaborative and really creative way they worked together, giving clear, constructive advice, brilliant ideas to deliver a series of what we hope will be compelling, provocative, and really enlightening sessions. You know the theme, it's content, consumers, and everything in between. The abundance of content and the choice for viewers has never been so vast. We all know that. Broadcaster on-demand services alone have over 20,000 hours worth of programming to choose from. And last year, UK viewers watched over 90 billion hours of TV. Technology has meant viewers can now watch what they choose, when and how they want. Britain produces world-class content, and the last 12 months has been no exception. From Line of Duty to Love Island, from Catastrophe to Chernobyl. But new content is now effectively competing with every drama ever made. If you don't fancy the new 9 o'clock drama, well, now you can watch any series you may have missed first time round. Shifting viewing habits, developments in technology you're going to hear a lot about, the rapidly evolving competitive landscape are all having a fundamental impact on our industry. The macro-political environment is even more unpredictable. As we gather here in Cambridge, we still don't know what Britain's future relationship will be with Europe, and indeed the rest of the world. In fact, despite all the investment in scripted, for much of the year, some of the best drama on TV has been delivered by the news. The Brexit saga briefly turned parliamentary democracy into the X factor with all the requisite elements: eliminations, walkouts, deadlock, even a judge's vote. Amidst the change and uncertainty, there are two things, however, we can be absolutely certain of. that viewers are looking for creative, trusted producers and broadcasters to help them both navigate and understand the world in which we are living, and as importantly, to help them escape from it into other dramas. One of our greatest assets is the trust the public has in our news and current affairs. Trust in TV news is remarkably high, higher than all the other media, and of course, much more valued and trusted than the news provided by social media. In fact, in an era of fake news and misinformation, the importance of the news provided by PSBs in particular has never been more important to our democracy. But news is expensive when properly done. We have to ensure we continue to protect that. We also have to make it more accessible and relevant to young people who often get their news from social feeds. We asked that generation about ITV News. We found that they have trust and respect for our news, but they felt it was for their mums and dads. In response, we have this week launched The Rundown, a news service for teenagers. This will be produced and delivered by our news team, distributed online and through social media channels. The Rundown will be optimized for Instagram and also available on YouTube and our own website, of course. It will summarize the key news stories of the day in short clips, with the option to swipe to find more detailed information on our website. Now, this environment of change also has implications for all of us as employers. According to Edelman's Trust Barometer, all our employees now expect us to actively join them in advocating for social issues. Companies that do that are rewarded with greater commitment, advocacy, and loyalty from their people. For instance, they want us to help limit our impact on the environment. They want us to reflect the diversity of our consumers and of society, both on and off screen. By any measure, those are the right things to do. And building a more inclusive and diverse culture where everybody is comfortable being themselves, well, that fuels the creativity that makes Britain a truly global player in our industry. Telly still has the power to influence people's lives like no other medium. And with that power comes responsibility, as we all know in this room. Our viewers are often also participants in our shows, and there's a great deal of focus currently on duty of care to them. That's a good thing. The public have been at the heart of telly programmes since the start of TV, and in fact, they have always featured in the biggest and most popular programmes. All our shows are all the better for the talent, energy, and diversity of the members of the public who take part in them. We need to ensure that they also feel positive about their experience. Now, the only way we can build trust in how we do this is to be open and honest about what we do. We have to demonstrate that we care for the physical and mental health of everyone we work with a strong framework. We at ITV are committed to working across the industry, including other broadcasters, PACT and Ofcom, to share best practice and continue to strengthen and evolve our processes. So viewers, as we've discussed, take part in our shows, but they are also now consumers. Not the passive audience, not even license fee payers, but consumers, and discerning ones at that. They are increasingly on demand, and they are increasingly demanding. With the range of content, channels, and services on offer, they can really afford to be. Today's consumers are seamlessly and actively navigating between channels, platforms, and SVOD services, between live, recorded, catch-up, box sets, SVOD exclusives, and back again, gliding from connected TV homepage to set-top box EPG, to streaming stick UI as gracefully as skaters in Dancing on Ice, the professional ones at least. To mention just one stat to illustrate this, every month, 80% of all households in the UK watch video on demand in one form or another. Now, these consumers are more and more used to paying for content. Viewing is also now two-way. Technology can capture viewers' likes and dislikes and forecast future demand in a way never seen before in telly. Will this help or hinder commissioners and broadcasters with their creative decision-making? And of course, everybody talks about data. Ultimately, though, without insight and intelligence, data is just a bunch of zeros and ones. It does, however, have the potential to dramatically change the way we interact with all our consumers if used well and properly. All the data in the world can't replace the creative spark that delivers something people didn't even know they wanted. And thank goodness for that. Increasingly, it's the in-between of our title where all the action is, between content and consumers, between broadcasters and their audience, between global platforms and the services on them, rights windowing, access to platforms, prominence for services, changing business models, advertising rules, terms of trade. Whether dictated by the market or laid down by the regulator, these all have the power to determine success or failure and the very shape of the industry as never seen before. Of course, we increasingly live and do business in a hybrid world. The linear familiar is still going strong, with 84% of total broadcast viewing still taking place live. And even if you add in all viewing, including Netflix and YouTube, it still commands 75% of live viewing. But many people are also in the rapidly emerging, converging world, where for a growing minority, broadcast linear TV is as outdated as the iPhone 4. The challenge for all of us, in business, in government, and in regulation, is to strike the right balance in what we do between these two worlds. Now, we all have our strategies to address the challenges and ensure we're positioned to take opportunities. ITV's new strategy, More Than TV, is focused on creating a stronger, more diversified, and structurally sound business. This will allow ITV to take advantage of the evolving viewing and advertising opportunities. Our purpose at ITV is very clear: to connect with millions of people every day, to make content they can't get enough of, and to reflect and shape the world they live in. And we do that through the power of our creativity. This means we will increasingly be a digitally led entertainment and media company that creates and brings our brilliant content to audiences wherever, whenever, and however they choose. This core purpose and our strategy gives us all at ITV a clear sense of direction, especially as we change and at pace. This convention will explore all of these themes. We are, of course, helped by a brilliant array of speakers and panelists. You will also hear from our consumers. In an RTS First, we will live stream the insights and views of our People's Panel from ITV Studios in Leeds. And on Friday, we will hear from a new generation entering our industry as we talk with RTS bursary students. So in this new age, where TV is being redefined, it's the best of times and it's the worst and most challenging of times for some. We all know where we're roughly headed. We might vary a bit in how we best believe we'll get there. But we are all, I think, in this room, absolutely united in the huge pride we take in the content that we will continue to make. So now let's celebrate that.
So much to applaud, and it makes me just so proud to be part of an industry with such a unique ability to inspire so much emotion. Thank you so much, Carolyn. We're going to discuss a lot of what you've been talking about in just a few minutes' time. But first, having an insight into your consumers is so vital in driving the financial and creative health of any business, and of course, ITV is no exception to that. Understanding the voice of the audience helps all of us to make relevant, engaging, and more watchable content. So I am delighted to welcome to the stage Neil Mortensen, who is ITV's Director of Audiences.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Susanna. At ITV, we ensure that we remain connected to viewers in everything we do. We track their every move, what they're buying, what they're thinking, feeling, watching, and talking about. Everything starts with them, and that's where we're going to start today. We're going to surface lots of insight, and with a bit of science thrown in, we're going to look at the health of TV from a viewer's perspective. As Carolyn outlined, the conference will surface the big questions facing our industry. These are defined by what is shaping up to be a new political and economic age. And we are now firmly in the third age of TV. TV is connected to the internet, time and place shifting our viewing with more choice, more quality and control than ever before. Our research tells us that viewers have never been happier. They're excited about the way TV's going as the balance of power shifts towards them. But of course, this new age has brought disruption with it. The linear TV model is changing, and it's going to change even faster in the next few years. Even the most traditional viewers are beginning to take their first steps into a new world, making wondrous discoveries like backwards EPGs or Netflix logins, and they never look back. Mainstream viewers are becoming less anchored in the schedule, and its ability to set the rules is diminished. For many, the schedule is synonymous with the EPG, and the EPG is starting to show its age. By comparison, VOD interfaces feel fresher, more relevant to the way we choose today, and these are shaped by Netflix and broadcaster players. This is all influencing expectations of TV in general. The new world of discovery feels highly visual, serendipitous, and tailored. And this new world is winning viewers. For some demographics, broadcast TV only represents half of their viewing. And for younger audiences, they watch less live TV year after year. So, viewing disperses, there is less live TV, fewer ads are seen in real time and at the same time. Platforms are multiplying and prominence diminishing. So it's harder for a show to cut through and even harder for the ads to. All this disruption quickly leads to discussions of burning platforms and tipping points for the sector. It can sometimes feel like there really isn't much case for any optimism. But we can safely say that television isn't facing an existential set anytime soon. And the reason we can be so sure stems from the continuous work we do in assessing the fundamental needs of TV, and the things that TV does for humans, delivers for humans. Because TV has been delivering consistently, resiliently, and enduringly over the years. We've been measuring TV properly since about 1981, but modern TV really kicked in the 90s. And despite the many potential disruptions over the decades, the country has kept on watching. In fact, we've always been watching around 4 hours a day. Yes, the makeup changes, but there are 4 hours up for grabs. And why is this? Why won't it change in the near future? Well, I'm going to expand a bit through the work we do into human needs and TV. We call this body of work primal screen. We use all sorts of academic lenses to sense check the deep emotions and needs of our audience. There's been lots of professors along the way. We've used all the ologies and all the ologists. The thing is, whichever way we look at it, whichever way we approach the issue, we keep on coming back to the same result. Our behaviours change and adapt across history, but our core human nature, rooted deep down in our DNA, hasn't changed since the evolution of modern humans. We have deep primal needs which form our human nature. For example, a core one of these is the very real need to bond together, which originates from gathering around tribal gatherings around the campfire of old. And you can see, from our very own Love Island fire pit, we're still at it. An anthropologist in one of our earlier studies went as far as to say that TV is a shrine to be worshipped, akin to a modern-day household god. Sadly, these findings never saw the light of day, as Simon Cowell had already had the words TV God copyrighted. Core needs are present across all cultures, all time periods, and they're a fundamental driver behind everything we say, everything we do, and everything we feel. But we're not historians, and we need to assess these needs in a modern TV context. But let's face it, the context of human evolution, in that context, the media ecosystem hasn't really been around that long. The third age of TV represents only one tiny frame in the film of human life. So we may worry that people will suddenly stop watching TV, but it's important to recognise that real behaviour change doesn't happen overnight. What I wanted to do was highlight two of the very latest pieces of work into this field, both, in my opinion, giving us reasons to be optimistic. Firstly, Professor Barwise et al. Have recently published an extensive review on communication and needs-based research, and the conclusions are clear. A major driving factor behind television's continuing popularity is its low cost, especially at the margin. Almost everyone has one or more TV sets with or without a subscription, or access to online TV and video. Even cord cutters are still watching television. So the marginal cost of most viewing is therefore close to zero. And secondly, television is thriving because it meets these basic human needs, especially for relaxation and escape, much better than other leisure pursuits. In short, TV is an efficient and effective, low-cost human needs fulfiller. Not a very romantic explanation, but important nonetheless. The truly gratifying thing is that this independent review chimes so well, really, with the latest piece of work that ITV have commissioned into this area. We commissioned the award-winning behavioural scientist, House 51, with the help of Professor Paul Dolan at LSE. We wanted to understand viewer needs in peak specifically and explore how to best match needs throughout the schedule. We measured their viewers' mental and physical energy across the week, their motivations, their needs and moods, and their experience of flow, which is essentially a measure of engagement. We boiled the motivations for watching telly into 4 macro needs: pleasure, purpose, togetherness, and keeping me company. And with parallels to the Barwise work, pleasure was the dominating motivation. TV was more often than not tapping into the fundamental need for happiness and therefore relaxation. So according to Dolan's theory, we get pleasure and purpose from everything we do, and our work has helped us prove that TV is the ideal way of giving us balance. It offsets mentally complex and physically taxing stuff that we do every day, like work or filing your tax return. So TV does it better than anything else. So despite all of the talk of disruption and changing habits, the fundamental need for this balance is unlikely to change unless something really big happens in our society. I'll let the inimitable Rory Sutherland explain it so much better than I could.
Stop worrying about technology, okay? The need to sit down and be entertained by someone else passively is 1 million years old. Since the invention of fire, it's not going to go away. The only threat to television is that someone bans comfortable sofas. For as long as there are comfortable chairs and people sit on them after a long day at work, there's going to be television. Nothing's going to change that.
I mean, I guess the robots really could take over, bringing about real changes in work and leisure patterns. But in truth, the amount that we work and sleep and enjoy ourselves hasn't really changed much over the years. So much of our behaviour is driven by our rhythms, our circadian rhythms, social and physical. Our rhythms produce this pretty predictable pattern across the day. And TV has always shaped itself to snugly fit into these implicit needs and rhythms. So having another screen to watch on, faster broadband, or perhaps even more TV, just isn't going to change our fundamental viewing patterns. It's just going to disperse things across the week. As you'd expect, our research shows what does change is our mental and physical energy across the week, and this has obviously implications for programming. Energy peaks midweek, suggesting that viewers have a greater capacity for a richer content mix, need for a bit more purpose perhaps. Sunday is the most energetic and pleasure-focused part of the weekend, perfect for a kind of warm bath of a Sunday night drama. The need for togetherness, interestingly, peaks on Wednesdays and, of course, at the weekends, as you'd expect. Behavioural science tells us that our audience are cognitive misers, so our shows and our schedule need to really work hard, giving viewers clear signposts with some slots and surprising them with others. The aim is for a balanced TV diet to match our viewers' needs and our energy perfectly across the week. So on demand also allows viewers to do some of that matching themselves, but choosing can be hard, especially when you don't know what you want to watch. What has been fascinating for us is the types of genres and shows that best fit and deliver on these needs. As I mentioned, the dominant need state is pleasure, and sitcoms, soaps, talent shows, and drama all deliver this in abundance. From Blind Date to Love Island, from Generation to Generation Game to The Great British Bake Off, or from Cracker to Line of Duty. Tastes and style, complexity and cultural relevancy do change, But these different types of shows are all delivering on the same need. When we need more purpose, we turn to docs and current affairs, we move to natural history, true crime, news and satire. And there are things that bridge all of these needs. Sport can deliver togetherness, purpose, and if your team wins, pleasure. So I hope that you can all take some comfort from all of this. I guess it depends on whether you're a half glass full or half glass empty sort of person. In the modern TV era, there's always been around 4 hours a day of TV viewing up for grabs. That hasn't changed much as TV continues to deliver on basic human needs in a simple and cost-effective and primary way. Yes, the future will continue to throw up disruption, technological battles, economic battles, but for the viewer, it's a creative battle. And that's something we should all be looking forward to with confidence. Thank you very much.
Fantastic stuff, Neil. Thanks so much. Really fascinating and detailed research. So let's talk a little bit further to someone who knows all about the pleasure and purpose of television and the primal need to bond around a fire pit, because he's the man who's in charge of Love Island. And let me give you some of that data. The biggest ever programme on a digital channel. Not only that, under his watch, ITV has seen its audience share grow every year, and ITV2 overtake E4 as the most watched digital channel for 16 to 34-year-olds. So far this year, ITV has shown 4 of the top 5 new dramas on television, while ITV Daytime has achieved its highest ever share of viewing. A warm welcome, please, for ITV's Director of Television, Kevin Lygo. Come and have a comfortable chair, long may they make them, so that we carry on watching television around the Love Island fire pit.
Yes. Is that going to ignite or not?
It can't ignite because, of course, that would be a health and safety issue, and we would have had to have filled out 25 more forms than we actually did. You have seen a huge burst in ITV audiences last year. Fantastic. Not just World Cup and Love Island, I'm sure you would say.
Yeah.
What else has contributed?
Oh, mainly the morning shows.
Thank you very much.
No, I think you have to, when you're running a channel network and a bunch of channels, everything has to function at the top of its game. And so there's no one thing really.
What are you proudest of?
What am I proudest of? I suppose I separate the channels and the main channel into sort of separate areas. And I think, you know, probably nobody here really watches daytime because they're at work and busy people. But daytime we've put a lot of energy and resource into just dealing with Piers Morgan, and it's...
No, that's me putting my energy and resources into dealing with him.
God bless you for that. So I think working daytime hard means that you get this great swathe of people coming every day, getting used to the channel, seeing all the trails for the programmes in the evening and so forth. I think the soap operas, which are, again, probably not watched by many people here, are easily overlooked by people who work in television because if you don't watch them, you're not interested in them. If you don't watch soap opera and you catch a tiny little bit of one, it does look appalling. I will give you that. But if you get sucked into it...
I think you meant to say engaging.
No, appalling if you watch a bit. If you watch it all the time, it's the best thing in your life.
You're addicted.
I am addicted to Coronation Street.
Yes. I mean, you genuinely are. That's not just because you're director of television of the channel that broadcasts Coronation Street.
I've never missed an episode since the 1970s.
Never missed an episode.
Actually, yeah,
that is extraordinary.
Lie, but you know, it sounds good. You know, no, I do. I religiously watch it. I do love it. And so I ordered another one, and there is an extra episode now, which has helped.
Now you have even less time with your family.
It's true. No, they have to watch it. So I think the work on the soaps, you know, more and more you can see there's a horrible truth with television that when you're a bit tired of an old show that's been on a long time, you think, oh, it's not going to grow, it's going down, it's not so great anymore. You think, let's try a new one. And 9 times out of 10, the new one does worse than the old one. So take less risks. That's my motto, if you want success. So particularly for a network like ITV, and I would think for BBC One, you know, nurturing the things that have been there and are part of people's lives for a long time is the best way to do that. And, you know, a lot of our big entertainment shows have been running for years and years and years. And I don't think they were ever designed to do that when they began. I think that anyone who started those shows would be amazed that they're still running and doing such huge numbers and being the hits they are. And I think it's a testament to them, a testament to the program makers that reinvent them slowly all the time to keep them at the top of the game. So I'm a Celebrity or Britain's Got Talent or Strictly Come Dancing. It's amazing you still get 10 million people to come to these shows in the modern world when there's so much choice.
It's interesting listening to Neil, and data is so important, audience research is so important. How much do you tailor content to what you know the audience likes, and how much do you deliver, what Carolyn was saying a little bit earlier, something that the audience didn't realise that they would like?
Yeah.
Because that's the risk, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, you know pretty quickly if they don't like it. They just don't somehow turn up. And they bugger off quite quickly if they came to have a look and they didn't like it.
And so, has that threshold changed over the years? Because obviously there are examples of shows where people didn't necessarily like them to start with, but then if you stick with them, they can grow an audience.
Well, I remember I was working at the BBC when Only Fools and Horses started, and the review, I remember the next day was, only a fool or a horse would watch this, which was a brilliant review, but obviously completely wrong. It's harder. And it's the great tension between producers and broadcasters to give shows more time. And the modern experience, I'm afraid, is more brutal than it ever used to be because there is so much choice. You come into a new show, you look at it, and I bet you all do the same thing. I know I do. And particularly with comedy, you look at the first 5 minutes of a new comedy, 7 minutes to, oh, fuck this, I'm off. And, you know, it is so hard on people, clever, intelligent, talented people who work for ages making these things. But on ITV, I think we're probably tougher than other channels because we're commercially funded and we have to make these choices, that if it doesn't work at first, it doesn't often come back. Look, the hits are easy, the failures are easy, it's the ones in between where the producer is on their knees begging you for another series. They know it's going to work, and you think you know nothing. And we're scratching our heads and thinking, God, do we give it another go or not? That's quite hard.
A key part of the success and audience sort of magnetism is talent, of course, and that's, you know, a critical issue.
Lack of it, yeah. No.
You've got enormous talent on
No,
ITV, of course, and, you know, I mean, everybody knows ITV presenters.
Yes, they do. And no, I put up with their appalling behaviour because I feel their pain because
Who's the worst?
could all end.
Who's the worst?
Piers, Simon. I better stop there. Some that used to be on and aren't on now. I get the better of. I only have a sort of nuclear button. Otherwise, I just give in.
I tell you what, there's 2 names you haven't mentioned who are badly behaved, because I know they are both fabulously behaved.
Yes, they are.
And I can say that because they are behaving well in the Good Morning Britain studio. It's Ant and Dec.
Are they there?
Hello, everybody.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Gaffer.
Hello.
Yeah, we've all got to be on our best behaviour. It's lovely to see you both. Are you treating the studio
Always
well?
are.
What, you haven't created a massive
We are
mess,
treating this studio well. No, we haven't. You're in Susanna's chair.
I'm in Susanna's chair. It's very nice.
I'm in Piers's chair.
Unlucky.
I know, what a shame. What a shame. Let's get this done, shall we? It doesn't feel very well. Doesn't feel good. Good to speak to you, Bo.
It's good to speak to you as well. And listen, you're the kings of great entertainment television, and you do so much live television as well. What is the key to making great event live telly?
Yes, what's the key, guys?
I think you've used the word there. The key gaffer, I think you used the word there. It's, you know, making it an event. You know, live TV is exactly what it is because you have to watch it there and then, whether it be a royal wedding or a World Cup final or an upcoming episode of Saturday Night Takeaway. You want to watch it then and there, and you don't want to deal with catch-up. You want to be in it, you want to engage in the show. There's a lot more now of viewer interaction. So I think for us making it, it's because it's unpredictable, it's fun.
You try and make it unmissable for the whole family as well, and to try and get the family together and get them down on the sofa to watch the TV and to share in that event. Try and make it as unmissable as you can. I think that's what we try and do.
You've done extraordinarily well. I mean, the statistics speak for themselves. 18 seasons of I'm a Celebrity, 16 of Saturday Night Takeaway, and 13 of Britain's Got Talent. And it feels, you know, they feel very familiar shows when they come back.
Time for a new one, guys.
But you must have to make tweaks to make them fresh every time and keep people watching.
We do.
We do. We're very lucky with I'm a Celebrity and with Britain's Got Talent because the cast of I'm a Celebrity every year gives you a different feel. Britain's Got Talent, the contestants every year, obviously gives you a different feel because you have us and the judges in there. So there is that kind of, continuity there. Something like Saturday Night Takeaway takes a lot of time and energy and ideas, and we have a very talented production team who work very hard. We just started working on next year's series this week. We started filming yesterday. So that takes a lot of time and effort, as I say, and we try and challenge ourselves to keep pushing the boundaries really and try to keep topping ourselves every year.
But I think we're very lucky that in the fact that we present 3 of the biggest entertainment shows on British telly, and you know we don't take that for granted, and we know the pressure's on every series because you've got to, like Dex said, you've got to come up with new ideas and you've got to keep it fresh for the viewers, even though they want that familiarity. You know, you've still got to inject some new things in there.
Yeah. You say you just started, you know, doing the kind of meetings for Takeaway. How much are you involved in contributing those ideas, and how much are you there listening to what the producers suggest?
Oh, very much. It's very much our show. We are kind of exec producers without the title, essentially, on Takeaway. And it was our baby, you know. We started it years ago, and we're kind of integral to every part of the show, and have been since day one.
And like I said, we go on air with it next February, and we've been working on it during the summer. We did our first filming day yesterday. So it's a part of the whole process, all the way through from conception through to delivering on air. So that's the one we get most involved in.
I should say, to spare their blushes, that they're unusual as they do work so incredibly hard. They're never any trouble, Susanna. Never any trouble.
They're not.
And they.
Is that a slightly pointed remark?
No. And they, but they do live and breathe the shows. So all hail Ant and Dec.
It's a long way from Biker Grove, isn't it?
Thank you. It is a long way from Biker Grove.
It certainly is. If you had have told us all those years ago that we would have been doing this, and like Ant says, with 3 of the biggest entertainment shows on British telly, we wouldn't have believed you. But you know, we continue to pinch ourselves every day in that we are in this position. And you know, we know how incredibly lucky we are to be here.
Here's a quick one, Kevin, for you. I've just read recently that Netflix are paying massive money to show Seinfeld, millions and millions of dollars over 5 years. We own the rights to Biker Grove. So if you want it, it's there.
They're done.
Do deal.
Brilliant.
Done. Yeah.
That deal's just been sealed in this room.
Perfect. Brilliant.
Love it.
$400 million.
Spuggy will be thrilled.
So Takeaway's in the planning, and you're about to go back out to the jungle for I'm a Celebrity. Who have you been trying for ages to get into the jungle who you haven't got yet?
Well, there's the guy who sits in this seat.
Yes, I
who
wondered.
Has said he would do it for a certain...
Me?
Not you. Piers has said he would do it for a certain amount of money, which I think we could meet.
We could roll that out.
He then wriggles out of it. So we have a list that we give every year and we add to it and subtract from it. On our list at the moment, and one person we're kind of tracking down every time we see him, is Richard Madeley.
Who also sits in this chair on occasion.
It must be catching, be careful.
Richard Madeley, Tim Westwood, like to see in there, Alan Shearer. The list is endless.
Well, it's a list of 4, at least. It's fantastic to see you, Anton Deck. Thanks so much. Just leave us a little present in the studio for tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Anton Deck, don't leave any critters. Thank you very much indeed. And Kevin, lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
I shall be on my best behaviour from now on.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Of course, no one is more important than our audience. We totally rely on our viewers, and over the next 2 days, we are going to hear from a panel of viewers. They are in Leeds, and Good Morning Britain's Ranvir Singh is with them. Ranvir.
Hello to you at a normal time of day, Susanna. What a pleasure. Lovely to be with you here from the birthplace of Marks and Spencer's, of Scary Spice and Jeremy Paxman, of course, in Leeds. It also has the headquarters of Asda and Tetley's, and soon to be home to some of Channel 4. Now, this studio is normally for scenes from the Woolpack in Emmerdale, but today, as you can see, they've given it up for us and our esteemed People's Panel. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us. Right, let's get to know them a bit, shall we?
Married mum Sabrina watches wildlife programmes with her sons, but it's when they've gone to bed that the serious viewing happens.
I tend to watch stuff like Dr. Foster, Killing Eve, Cheat, Next of Kin.
Phil is a parent and education consultant. He loves real-life police programmes but thinks the biggest crime is reality television.
I don't like to watch what they pretend is reality TV, things like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and glorifying, glamorous lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Sandy is a grandmother and part-time charity worker. She likes watching daytime TV, especially one morning presenter who definitely speaks his mind.
Particularly look out for Piers, because I know that if something has happened the day before, something's going to come out of his mouth. It's going to tell us all about it, his version, nobody else's version.
University student Josh doesn't watch on the box. He watches his favourite shows on his phone.
I really enjoy watching The Charlotte Show, and I also really enjoy watching Love Island.
Single mum Carrie and her children watch documentaries and drama, but she thinks news and entertainment need to be more diverse.
There's no newsreader in a wheelchair. There's no one with a prosthetic leg presenting X Factor.
Philip and his partner Abby have a new baby, so when it comes to picking programmes, they always search for familiar faces.
We'd always watch Peaky Blinders with Thomas Shelby, as well as anything that has Ricky Gervais in, such as Extras or Afterlife.
Retired sales manager Stephen tunes in for fast cars and furry animals.
I love car programmes. I love when people find an old banger, they make it into something special.
Marie is a primary school teacher. She likes to sit back, relax and watch the rich and famous.
My favourite TV shows that I like to watch are the reality shows, ones such as The Real Housewives of Cheshire, because I just like to look at the lifestyles, watch the lifestyles of the rich and famous, the glamorous, which is not like mine at all.
Let's find out a bit more about you. Sabrina, it was interesting hearing from Neil when he gave the research saying that it's pleasure that people want from their viewing, and being together is possibly not right up there. And that is so true in your house, isn't it?
Yeah, I tend to watch TV on the evening once I've put the kids to bed.
Four boys.
I tend to binge watch, and I'll watch the dramas that I've heard of on social media or through mums at school, and then I don't stop. I don't watch just the one, I'll carry on watching it.
And are you watching it with your husband?
Not really, because he tends to go off to bed and he'll call me, but I'm so into that I'll carry on watching it.
Yeah, you can't, you're gripped with it and you have to watch it to the end. Sandy, the P word has been mentioned far too much today already.
Yes, it has.
But you are a fan of outspoken presenters.
I am.
Why?
As well as PM.
Yeah.
Yes, Janet Street Porter. Why? Because they say what they think. Their shovel is a digger. They go right underneath, and they probably say what we would like to say and daren't. And it's never vulgar. It's honest.
And even disagreeing makes you feel like you're engaging, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Philip, I know Abby, your wife, was meant to be here, but your baby's a bit poorly. I hope she's all right, he's all right. Now, listen, you probably don't get much of a chance to watch too much TV, do you? Because you've got such a young family.
No, so not at the moment. It's a couple of hours on an evening currently.
And how do you choose?
We find it quite difficult. It's very often that we both can't agree on a particular TV programme to watch. So we end to normally split them down onto a Monday and a Friday.
Yeah.
I get to choose and
coin toss and
or
yeah, there's so much choice out there when you've got such little time. And Stephen, I mean, your viewing habits with your partner are fascinating because you live in separate houses because it's better for your viewing.
Well, I wouldn't say it's better for viewing, but we have very different interests where TV is concerned. I like a certain genre.
Like what?
I like car programmes, I like action programmes. She likes some soaps and she likes the reality, the Love Island, which is not my cup of tea. But we like natural history together.
Lovely. Well, it'll be good to get to hear more from you over the next couple of days. But for now, let's hand back to Susanna.
Thanks very much indeed. You could mention to Stephen it's cheaper to buy a new telly than a whole new house if they don't want to watch the same thing. We'll be back with the People's Panel in Leeds over the next 2 days. For now, thanks very much indeed. Carolyn, you must get asked all the time, what is it that you watch, what your guilty pleasures are? Do you always have to say that they're ITV programmes?
No, of course not. I mean, I think that I usually say that what I'm watching most recently is the thing that's my favourite programme. So I'm watching A Confession at the moment, and I really think it's brilliant TV. I mean, it's just brilliant viewing. Beautifully written, really well produced, great acting. So I'm watching it at the moment, and I think actually I've watched Killing Eve, and I'm watching something on Sky at the moment, which is the Roger Ailes thing, The Loudest Voice, which is brilliant. You know, so I think you've got to watch what you really want to watch. I mean, I watch lots of ITV as well, obviously, Susanna. So, obviously.
Do you binge watch programmes?
I haven't got time to binge watch, really. I can't. I've got to get some sleep.
And you've got to get things done. As well, of course.
Got to get some sleep.
I think it's going to be fascinating listening to the People's Panel over the next couple of days because, of course, those are the voices that are so important. Those are our viewers.
Yeah, and I think we've always, all of us in this room in one way or another, particularly broadcasters, have always done lots and lots of research about what people are viewing. I think what's really interesting with them is listening to how they view, and we're doing more and more on how people are viewing, as kind of Neil talked about. And that's quite a shift because how they view is going to dictate quite a lot of what we do strategically as a company. So that's where the insight really lies. What they view is obviously important, but I think it's how they're viewing that.
We live in challenging times.
As they say.
As they say. Are you optimistic? Are you able to say if you have concerns? And do you have ways of dealing with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said in the introduction that I think all of us, here are dealing with challenging issues because it's a time of great change in the industry, and I think that viewers are dictating that. If viewer habits are changing and you can see them changing and unfolding in front of you, we have to respond to that. And I think, the linear free-to-air model is a really successful model. It's ad-funded. And it will last for a long time. I think, it really will. But I think you have got to think of how you diversify as well. And that's where studios comes in for us, because we make programs and sell them. And also, of course, BritBox and all the other things that we're doing, directly dealing with consumers, and they're willing to pay for certain things with us that we wouldn't have done before. So I think, how you meet the challenges are as important as the challenges themselves, because I think they lead to creativity and innovation and having to think differently about your business models.
BritBox is really exciting. Can you tell us more details, launch date, price point,
Yeah, so
content?
we've announced the price point. We're not announcing launch date. We have said we will launch it in the next quarter, so that's imminent. I think it is exciting because it is distinctive. And if it was going to be just like any other streaming service, I think it would not work, really. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people with very deep pockets in streaming. And there are a lot of people who have got years and years of streaming experience and only do streaming. So I don't think we're naive about it. I think the important thing is that for British consumers, this is not a global thing. BritBox UK is for British consumers. And they tell us in all the research that they really like the concept because it's very easy to understand. It's the breadth and depth of British originated content. So the A to Z of British talent, A to Z of kind of British programs, whether it's from the past, from the recent past, or indeed commissioning for the future. So they kind of get that. And I think it's not going to be like Apple or Netflix or, you know, and it's well priced. It's $5.99. And I think even last week when we did our most recent research, so we're doing weekly pricing and kind of market research, the feedback was it was still good value, even though Apple had announced their price point. So I think the most important thing will be to ensure that we communicate that really, really well to consumers in many different ways, that, you know, its value and what the concept is, how distinctive the proposition is.
It's a very competitive market.
It is, it really is, yeah.
But
it really is. But you know, we have to
confident
compete.
and optimistic.
Well, we're competing for everything.
Yes.
I mean, we're now competing in telly with many, many more people on the advertising front. You know, not just other broadcasters, but Facebook and Google. You know, for attention, as Neil said, there's that much time to view, but we're competing with lots of other players.
Absolutely. You talk, of course, about the funding model for ITV, and you, again, you're optimistic about that being sustainable long term.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, it's not going to be without bumps, but I think I am very optimistic about the future because at the core of what we do is programs and content and engagement. We create audiences all the time, and we do that because we have such powerful content. And that is the core of really future success. You know, however that's distributed, however you make money out of that, it is about the core of what we do. And that's not really changing. So we know how to do that. We're also very strong commercially, so we know how to make money out of what we do. It's just that how we make money is going to continue to evolve. We will always do advertising. You know, we will not just do linear advertising, we'll also do more targeted advertising, addressable advertising through technology. So we will continue to evolve that, but we will have to find other ways of making money.
You've also got to, I mean, hold on to viewers. We listened to some of the viewers and the People's Panel there. The younger viewers are so critical, aren't they? Because you know, they're future viewers as well as current viewers. The next session is all about Gen Z. I'm not even sure I know what Gen Z is.
So Rob, he's just walked in the room. So it's 16 to 24s.
Right.
Really.
How, I mean, we obviously have programs.
That's you, Amber.
We have programs like Love Island, which really appeal to that generation. But how is ITV as a whole doing to get those viewers on board and keep them?
So I think, look, I think a lot of people in this room, or certainly some of them, will be very familiar with how young viewers are talked about. They're talked about as 16 to 34s, actually, usually. And they're not a cohort. They are not homogenous at all. So I think viewing behaviour between 16 to 24s has always been, you know, very fragmented. They're quite hard to find. That's always actually been the case. Now, those viewers probably you have to work much, much harder on telly to reach today. But I think it would surprise quite a lot of people that, of course, Love Island does well amongst 16 to 24. Nearly half of 16 to 24s watch Love Island. But actually, I'm a Celebrity with those boys, you know, actually
gets bigger.
Over 50% of 16 to 24s watch I'm a Celebrity. Now, people wouldn't expect that. So a lot of our very big shows have millions of 16 to 24s. So I'm a Celebrity is 3.3 million watching it, you know, every night stripped. So I think when you get it right, content-wise, for them, they come. But the thing about prominence is quite important. I really think this is important. There's a huge issue, and we'll hear this, I'm sure, from them on the panel, is how you find content. So the discoverability of content. And it is harder to get 16 to 24s who are doing hundreds of different things to really watch, to get through what the content is that you want to attract them to.
I think we have a lot of them watching our programme. I get a lot of stuff from teenagers, older teenagers, watching Good Morning Britain because they love the noise around it. One of the other attractive things about appealing to that market, that age group, is that so many of them are, in the cliched way, on their phones.
All the time.
That actually, if they do come to a programme, often they'll bring their parents with them, because I find as a parent, it's the only time I can actually sit with my children and actually do something together. It goes back to that whole thing about, being together as a group and that primal bonding.
Yeah.
That's why it's, it
and
really
actually, we
does provide
don't mind
family
how they watch it. I mean, I think that's where we've really changed as ITV. I think, of course, we want them to watch our content, and if they're going to watch that on the phone, on their mobiles, that's fine.
What do you think your biggest challenge is coming up in the next couple of months?
Couple of months? It will definitely be the launch of BritBox, I think. As a challenge and an opportunity, obviously.
Yes.
So, no, we're very excited about it, but, getting that just up, running, active, in kind of just business as normal would be quite good.
And when you go home tonight or tomorrow or back to your hotel, Friday, what will you sit down on your sofa? What will you collapse and watch? What's your warm bath?
I'll probably do I'll do catch up. I'll do some catch up on what I've already said.
A lovely drama.
Nice drama.
An absorbing drama.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, it's been absolutely lovely talking to you.
And
thank you very much
indeed.
Thank you,
Susanna.
And, thank you to everyone who's taken part. I've had to interview a number of bosses this afternoon, so thank you to you, Carolyn, thank you to Kevin Lygo as well. Thank you, Neil Mortensen, and to my colleague Ranvir, and to the People's Panel.